about your grandparents, or maybe your parents, growing up in the 50s and 60s. They were the ones who first squeezed toothpaste out of a tube, unwrapped a package to microwave dinner, and slurped milkshakes through wide straws. They went to the corner store to buy candy bars and bubblegum and carried them home, not in their hands, but in a bag. What do all of these things have in common? Plastic. Now think about yourself. Do you remember your first shower? Most likely not. But it doesn't really matter who you are. That shower probably involves some sort of shampoo which you squeezed out of the dusty pink Johnson & Johnson's bottle. I certainly don't remember my first shower either, but I do know that my now empty bottle of shampoo is somewhere out there, somewhere in a landfill on the earth, along with my parents' milkshake straws and your grandparents' toothpaste tubes. You see, the thing with garbage is that we think we can just throw things away. But the truth is that nothing ever really goes away. We just relocate it to nature, somewhere where we can't see it. So what is the problem? Well, we all know that climate change is becoming an increasingly large threat to our survival and that of thousands of other species. At face value, it seems like a huge part of the climate change problem is plastic. However, once we dig a little deeper, we realize that the root cause of the plastic problem is our single-use mindset. You see, if I could choose a word to embody all of our generations, it would be convenience. Convenience not because we've grown lazy, but simply because we've become busy and preoccupied, perhaps a little complacent. And in this busyness and preoccupation and complacency, we have quickly outpaced our planet, and it is beginning to get tired and heave under our weight. We know it won't be long before the Earth can no longer sustain us. And so, as humans, in the same way we are destroying our planet, we too have the power to repair it. The truth, though, is that the vast majority of people are not going to dramatically change the way they live in order to have a truly sustainable existence. And so we must make sustainability fit into the infrastructure and modern world we have already built. My philosophy is in two parts: that sustainability starts at the individual level, yet must finish with large-scale policy and action. Once we collectively prove to the world that there is a real market for sustainability, governments and corporations will meet that demand. I'd like to introduce you all to the zero waste hierarchy, a system that explains how we can start at the individual level. Number one is refuse. The very first thing you can do when transitioning to a low-waste lifestyle is to train yourself to say no to single-use plastics and disposables. That means refuse anything you don't need. Random pens from conferences, plastic toothbrush at the dentist, samples from Costco in those little plastic cups. Number two is reduce. Pretty straightforward. Reduce the amount of unnecessary things you buy. Not the things you need or really want, but rather the little trinkets and purposeless clutter. Number three is reuse. This is crucial. Instead of buying things that are disposable, buy things that are reusable. Next time you go to the grocery store, bring a cloth bag with you, outfitted with several smaller cotton bags to replace those flimsy plastic ones that are impossible to open, that most people suffocate their produce with. Bring a reusable water bottle with you and a thermos in the winter to get your coffee to go. Next time you need a toothbrush, buy one made of bamboo. And when you need toothpaste, brush your teeth with baking soda, or my preference, a concoction of baking soda, coconut oil, and peppermint essential oil. With the addition of a few accessories, per se, you can conveniently help save the earth. Number four is recycle, but also compost. The average American produces 4.4 pounds of trash every single day. Roughly 60% of that is organic material, things that can be composted and then used to grow new organic material, which is pretty awesome. Number five is reject, dispose, throw away. Honestly, if you closely follow all of these steps, you will be left with very little garbage at all. Now though, I'm sure many of you are wondering how much of a difference one individual can make in foregoing plastic. And there certainly is some truth to that. The absence of one person's to-go cups and plastic bags might not make the biggest difference. But let's take a look at what it takes to manufacture one plastic fork. You know, the kind you find at Panera or the school lunch line or Whole Foods. Well, it all starts with oil or natural gas, a resource that is the result of millions of years' worth of organic matter being compressed by the earth very slowly. That oil is rigged out of the ground either in the middle of nowhere or a couple miles offshore. Now, I'm sure this information isn't new to any of you. But after that oil is rigged out of the ground, it is sent across the world to be turned into pellets, melted down, formed and cooled several times over. They turn into typically one of either two plastics or a mix, polypropylene or polystyrene. And only then do they become forks. After that, they're hauled off again, this time to a packaging company where they're sealed in little bags with a rinky-dink napkin, or boxed up or layered in larger commercial bags. Then they're sent across the world again, this time to a distribution center where they're branded and headed to grocery stores, airports, restaurants, and schools. There they sit for who knows how long, until you come along with your burrito bowl or your Caesar salad in a clamshell package, utensilless and hungry. You need to eat, so you use the fork, enjoy your black beans, rice, croutons, or otherwise, maybe for 15-30 minutes. At least a little more full than when you started, you toss the fork, along with the remnants of your meal, into the nearest trash can, and you never think about it again. Now, I know I sound disparaging, and truly the last thing I want is to come off as judgmental. I mean, I did the exact same for 16 and a half years of my life. And oftentimes, I still do falter and let a piece of plastic into my life. Nobody is perfect, and nobody expects you to be. It is far more important that there are a ton of imperfect zero-wasters than a small handful of perfect ones. Life isn't about being perfect, but rather about the lens through which you see the world. So now, I hope you can see that your one fork does make a difference. Because if everyone carried their own fork, not only would there cease to be plastic forks washed up on shorelines, ingested by unsuspecting animals, incinerated, turned to ash, and sitting in landfills, but all of the energy spent and gases emitted as a part of the production process would be eliminated too. Most importantly, there would no longer be a demand for the plastic fork industry. Over time, companies would stop producing them in the first place because nobody would be buying them. And that's where the difference really is. A little under halfway through my sophomore year of high school, my friends came to me with an idea, or rather the lack of an idea. They joined a club that encouraged high school students to become entrepreneurs. That year's theme was environmental sustainability, and they were struggling to come up with a business that fit with the theme and satisfied them at the same time. After doing some research and talking to friends and family, we decided to focus our efforts on composting. And so, Green Team was born. Aimed at making composting accessible to schools across the city, we made t-shirts with our logo for fundraising, made a promotional video, built a website, and hired a company to manage our school's compost. Now, a little while ago, I was sitting with one of my best friends in math class, and we were talking about the regional differences between environmental values across the United States. I know, we should have been focusing on math. Suddenly, though, it dawned on us that never, not once, had we taken a class about climate change. There was not an ounce of environmental science built into our elementary or high school curriculum. And so, at 17 years of age, the first opportunity we would have to formally learn environmental science would be an elective class senior year. We couldn't account for students living elsewhere, but it was dismal to think that the only reason we knew anything about sustainability was because we had the motivation to do the research ourselves. No wonder everyone else around us, teenager or otherwise, was oblivious to the detrimental effects of their plastic consumption. From that point on, I made a commitment to spread awareness and educate people just like ourselves. People who were forced into an education system that failed to consider the most important building block of life, the earth. I decided to create a platform and a resource for teenagers to learn about how to reduce their impact on the environment, to learn how to change their mindset for a sustainable future, align their values with their actions, and prioritize people, animals, and the planet over plastic. I want this story to be an example of how individual action can become larger than oneself. And if we each put in an effort, if we each make a commitment to serving our planet and our future, we can save ourselves from self-destruction. Those of us who have privilege and power need to act now so we can expand opportunity and make a low-waste lifestyle accessible to all, regardless of age, race, social status, or country of origin before it's too late. The unfortunate truth is that living a low-waste lifestyle can easily be affordable, but access is hard to come by. Some people who don't have a car are doing the world a favor by using public transportation, but perhaps that makes it a whole lot more difficult for them to access the bulk store or the produce market. Some people can't afford to pay more money for a reusable water bottle and thermos up front. Others simply don't have the time to build washing bulk bags and cloth rags into their laundry schedule. It's incredibly important to recognize these issues and understand that our world is designed to be disposable. Some people physically cannot participate in the low-waste lifestyle to the extent that they may want to, and others don't even have the education exposing them to these issues. That's why every day it's becoming more and more our responsibility to create businesses and spaces for change, to create organizations like Green Teen, and to be a part of these communities. Without change, we're going to be the generation that misses out, all because of the generations that came before us. But we don't have to be. We are the problem, but we are also the solution.